to the Back Alley Sports Show. Coming up on today's show, the Bills and Dolphins kicked off the NFL week on Thursday night in a dandy of a game. We're going to break down our views and thoughts on that Bills-Dolphins game, talk about some Sunday football games, including the Browns and the Packers. We're going to look at the Eagles and the Rams as well as the Chargers and the Broncos. Take a look back at some afternoon slate games as well as the Ravens-Lions Monday Night Football game. Talk about some more rookie and NFL performances. And at 7:10, we're going to talk about the best of the undefeated teams and the worst of the completely defeated teams. All that and more coming up. This is the Back Alley Sports Show. Welcome in, episode number 3 of the Back Alley Sports Show, locked and loaded live here on a Wednesday night, wherever you may be watching this across the universe. Appreciate you guys tuning in with us today. We have a lot of stuff to go through as we have the first couple of episodes. I don't know what the weather is like out there in Wisconsin or wherever Richard is in the world, because he doesn't like to tell people where he lives, what he's doing, when he's doing it. It's all private for him. But it's been a pretty dreary couple of days here in the state of Nashville, Tennessee, or the city of Nashville, Tennessee, and yeah, it's just been dreary. It's one of those days. It's been in the 70s. The weather is just turning into fall, and eventually it'll be tornado season for 3 days, and then it'll be dead ass winter. So,
oh, poor baby, it's been in the 70s for you. I feel so terrible for you.
and it's not too bad. I'm in a hoodie right now, and the AC is off and the windows are open. So things are lightening up over here. My electricity bill is going to definitely be getting cheaper. Up by Devon, I'm sure it's probably already in the 40s. Up there in Wisconsin is as cold as the Packers were this weekend.
No, it's 70 and overcast, so I'm right there with you.
70 and overcast. Boys, big week of football that we just had go down. Started off with Thursday night football with the the Dolphins and the Bills. I think I don't remember exactly what that game opened up at. I believe it was like a 10.5. It was 10.5 or something, I felt like. But Miami hung in there all night long, and it definitely was a surprising performance. In my mind, Tua had a chance in that game late, and unfortunately, for Miami fans and for the team, throws an interception there, and the Bills are able to get out of there. But that defense kept getting stops. And that was something that I really recognized during that game, is that Miami seemed to be able to defensively keep their team in the game. I personally thought that they were on blowout alert. But again, they were able to keep it together there. What did you guys see there on Thursday night football? Richard, will start out with you there with the Bills and the Dolphins.
Well, I mean, with the Dolphins, yeah, the blowout was pretty much what I was expecting. The defense held on fairly well, even though you still had Josh Allen with 3 touchdowns, and the rushing game was well over 150 yards. I think it was 157 altogether with their rushing. So, I mean, the Bills came in, did exactly what they needed to, put points up on the board. Tua did what he could, 1 interception, 2 touchdowns. Yardage is just kind of not there. The receiving core was kind of just scattered throughout everyone. I don't think anyone got over 50 yards. The rushing was actually the bright spot, over, I think it was 130 yards for the offense. But I mean, all told, for Dolphins, it was a good game for the Dolphins, even though they lost compared to how they looked the rest of the season. So really not all that craziness from the Dolphins side.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Buffalo just comes in and does their job. Once again, turnovers to kill Miami, and they continue to kill them. Yeah, nothing really much else from me other than the Bills did what they had to do to win, and they came out with the win. So
Muted.
I'm curious to know if if you guys thought anything about the running game with Josh Allen, if there was anything missing. I know that the previous week I think he got his nose busted. I don't know if he broke his nose or what happened, but he was wearing a visor in that game for the first time I think since he was in college, if I recall correctly. And he used to wear that visor religiously in college, but I felt like Miami's defense really kind of stepped up to the task there and was able to, shut them down in the run game. A couple of notes that I had to add on to this is the 12th straight primetime game I had wrote down where Tyreek Hill has been held under 100 yards. So 12 straight primetime games under 100 yards for Tyreek Hill. Um, and the Dolphins, which is what I wanted to talk to you guys about next. The Dolphins used to be a very high scoring team. It felt like a couple of years ago with Tua and Tyreek and their receiving core, it felt like they were scoring points at will, and now it kind of seems like they've come back down to life. Curious to know your thoughts on McDaniels, and is Mike McDaniels on the hot seat, Devin?
I definitely think so, just because I've been hearing rumors around, different social media platforms and et cetera, stuff like that, that, Daniels, should be winning games. He brought in Tua, he's got Jalen Waddle, he's got all these weapons, and he can't win a game. He can't make it to the playoffs. He can't succeed. I don't know what else the offense needs. I don't know what the defense needs, but they just can't hold out games and finish out those games to win the game.
Yeah, go to Richard on this. What do you think about the McDaniel situation down there in Miami right now? Is this a coach Miami needs to keep, or do they need to start looking at going in a different direction?
So McDaniels is in a situation to where when he first came in, his offense was very potent and defenses could not adjust to it. I think he's in a position to where now the defense has kind of figured out what he's trying to do, and now they're able to stop it. So this is where McDaniels has to step in and start making changes to win games. If he doesn't start making these changes, then yeah, he's gone. I think it's pretty straight to the point with him at this point.
Definitely some coaches I want to talk to you guys about that are on the hot seat. We'll get into that a little bit later when we talk about the best of the undefeated teams and the worst of the defeated teams. That's coming up around 7:10 for those that are tuned in watching. Let's break this down here and get into the Sunday noon slates. Some of the games that we were watching, obviously, we're going to talk about it. I know Devin doesn't want to talk about it, and all the Packers fans are tired about hearing it already. We got a clip that we're going to play here for you guys. 230 yards of total offense is all that the Packers could get from a stingy Cleveland defense, rated one of the better, if not best, defenses in the league there in the NFL. But it was working for the Packers, early, even though it was tough. But with less than 4 minutes to go in the game, Packers had the Browns' 3rd and goal from the 20, was able to get off the field, giving up just 3 points. They led the game 10-3 at that point. Cleveland gets its first takeaway of the season with 3 minutes and 18 seconds remaining. Grant Delpit picked off Jordan Love's pass and returned it 25 yards of the Packers 4. It was also the first turnover this year for Green Bay and marked the first time in 10 regular season starts dating the last season that Love has been picked off. According to Sports Radar, a stat that I pulled for you guys, it's the first time in franchise history that the Browns have won a game in which they scored no points and trailed by at least 10 with 4 more minutes remaining. The last time that happened in the NFL was when Denver rallied to beat Chicago on December 11th of 2011. Devin, what did you see in that Packers game? What happened up there in Green Bay?
Nothing good, I'll tell you that. Definitely, their defense was putting a lot of pressure on Love. They had 5 sacks, I'm pretty sure, that game. There was constant pressure on Jordan Love. Like I stated last week, we got to watch out for Jordan Love's decision making. And, it definitely showed when he threw that pick. He stares down one defender and that one defender only, predetermined pass. and it gets picked off. The defender reads his eyes and gets to the ball and picks it off. There was supposed to be a clip, but there's not. We didn't have enough time to get it in here. But in 2023, same exact situation. Love predetermines a wide receiver. This is Packers versus Raiders. I don't know what week, but he predetermines a wide receiver, gets picked off, and we've seen the same thing this week. So is this a recurring thing that Jordan Love is known for, is staring down receivers and passing to that receiver? Or can he, evolve out of this situation that he's in where he only has one option, it seems like sometimes? And can he either make a play with his feet, which I will get into later, or can he throw the ball away? Later in the game, Jordan Love is scrambling out to the right. It's 3rd and 1. All we need is 1 yard, right? And he's scrambling out to the right, trying to find a receiver, and he doesn't see a receiver. So what does he do? He gets sacked for, 10 yards or 15 yards? He was way back there. When easily you could have thrown that away, kept it 4th and 1, could have helped out, the punt team, or possibly even gone for it. I forget what yardage they were at, but it's just those small things that Jordan Love has to look at and recognize that he needs to get better with game management, game time decisions. Just knowing the situation, I think, is Jordan Love's biggest flaw. You see all these media people saying that Jordan Love is a person that you can win with, but he's not a person that's going to win you the game, which we've seen multiple times with playoffs or regular season. It's these game time decisions that is costly to his game.
What do you have for us, Cedric?
So I'd say, first of all, we can't underestimate how good the Browns defense is. The Browns have an insanely good defense. I would say from the Green Bay needed a rushing game. They just didn't really have it. Josh Jacobs had 30 yards, I think, on 16 carries, so he didn't look great throughout the entire game. And when you have the ability to pass rush Jordan Love, you need to be able to run the ball just to make them, back off a little bit on the pressure. But Josh Jacobs never really got it going. The Browns were actually able to run on the Packers for, I think it was 96 total yards, and 94 was what's his name? Junkins. Sorry, terrible with names, people. And he outran all of Green Bay in its entirety. They ran them out. So I would be a little bit more concerned that the Browns, who offensively are really narrow, because Flacco, he's not going to run around. He stays in the pocket, can't run, can't slide, can't do any of that. So that's a little concerning that you guys weren't able to, attack somebody like Joe Flacco, who's not going to scramble out of the pocket. He's not going to move around all that well. So that's slightly concerning. And the fact that the Browns were able to get 94 rushing yards, which I know it's not over 100 yards. It's not shocking, but Green Bay is one of the better defenses. So I would think when you have a team like the Browns, whose offense is not that great, seldom looks good, and they ran for 96 yards and you had no rushing game. But this game was all about defense. So I enjoyed the game as far as from a defensive aspect. On the offensive side, it was a very not great game, to be honest with you, from both sides.
And the story of the weekend ended up being, the amount of blocked field goals. I can't recall a weekend where I seen so many blocked field goals, and especially in game-winning situations. McManus, I believe, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, misses one, who's a pretty trusty field goal kicker. Devin, what happened with the field goal?
It was just a good play by the defense. There's nothing around it. There wasn't anything that was off. Maybe could have kicked it higher. I mean, there's all these what ifs. You can't hound on the what ifs. If I did this would have been different. I mean, I could have pointed out 20 different things out in the game where before the field goal even happened, it wouldn't have been an issue. Like that golden catch on the sideline, he could have had an easy touchdown, but what does he do? He just moseys on out of bounds and takes his 30-yard gain, and he's happy with it. I mean, there's plenty of different things that you could do. Is like, okay, well, if this happened, then that wouldn't have happened, or whatever. It doesn't matter. The field goal got blocked. That's how it is, and that's how the story goes.
Yep. So we'll move on to next week there with the Packers. Big game coming up for the Packers too. Obviously, they're going to be playing the Cowboys next week, so I'm really excited to have you guys going after it next week, dishing it out there. But yeah, so the Packers 2-1 now, no longer undefeated, not in that category of unbeatens any longer. So that story can get thrown out the window for the rest of the season because they are defeated, and by the lowly Cleveland Browns. Good game there from them. Switch over and want to talk to you guys about the Eagles and the Rams game. Big game this weekend. The Eagles got a touchdown early to go up 7-0, but throughout the rest of the first half, offensively and defensively, the Rams seemed like the better team. Took a 19-7 lead at halftime, came out swinging in the second half, and scored in the first 53 seconds to take a 26-7 lead. At that point, the Rams are up 19. That's what you hear people say. It's a tale of two halves. Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams scored the next 3 touchdowns, put the Eagles up 27-26 with less than 2 minutes left after a missed 2-point conversion. Give it to Stafford. Let them cook. And they did. And they moved the ball down the field. They gave their kicker a chance to win the game, but then it gets blocked. As we just talked about, field goals being blocked by a 336-pounder. Jordan Davis takes this to the house. Philly wins the game 33-26. Had a note here. Saquon Barkley bottled up 18 carries, 48 yards, but Jalen Hurts played efficiently, especially in the second half, and finished 21-32 for 226 yards and 3 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Stafford 19 of 33 for 196 yards, 2 touchdowns and interception. Puka Nacua 11 catches for 112 yards. Philadelphia still unbeaten. They got it cooking out there in Philadelphia. Richard, what did you see in that game?
Yeah, so the Eagles didn't look all that great in the first half of the game. They came out with Jalen Hurts slinging the ball in the second half, which is kind of what you wanted to see, especially with them struggling a bit in the first half. So, and unfortunately for the Eagles, it's a win, but it's going to be one of those games where everyone looks at that and goes, well, this is another game you could have lost. And I know a lot of fans are going to sit there and say, a win is a win. Well, you're a Super Bowl champion now, so people aren't going to necessarily look at the game and go, that's a Super Bowl championship team right there. So that's just kind of where they are. I don't think they recorded any sacks, which is not great. And defense looked okay against Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford made a bit of, a few mistakes that hurt him. But all in all, I would say the Eagles looked good in the second half. They didn't look good in the first half. And there's an argument that could be made that, every game they played in, they could have lost. I would say, because I don't think you're going to get a blocked field goal all that often. This may be the only one the Eagles have. And I'll eat my words if they end up winning most of the games by a blocked field goal. So I would say that they got things they need to clean up. I'm not really sure why. You got one of the best running backs in the league, and he had 16 carries and didn't have that many yards. So they have things they're gonna have to clean up because right now they still look beatable, and I genuinely think the Rams can be a team that beats them in the playoffs. So I think they have some things they need to clean up.
Devin?
Yeah, definitely a winnable game here for the Rams. Stafford and Puka looked very nice together, obviously going over 100 yards for 11 catches there. But I still don't really trust this Eagles offense. I mean, the Rams shut down the run. That was most likely their game plan coming into the game. And when you have that strong mindset of we're stopping the run, obviously that means that the pass is going to be open just a little bit more. So that's probably why the receivers got their yardage that they did. But I still don't really trust this Eagles offense. It still doesn't really look like it's clicking that much to me. I mean, it's definitely looking better than it has before. but Jalen Hurts passing for under 200 yards, it's still kind of up in the air for me. I'd like to see that over. Oh no, sorry, that was Stafford under 200 yards. But yeah, I'd still like to see a little bit more from this Philly offense running on all cylinders, get them back to where they need to be.
Muted, buddy.
And that's twice now that I've done that in this episode. Sorry about that. It was just it's for me. It was really cool to see. It was really cool to see a big 336-pound man running down the field. And like he didn't have to score at all. He could have slid down. That game would have been over. And but to see him go down and capitalize and have the game in that way,
I gotta say,
awesome.
I'm impressed because he did that. You didn't even see homeboy go and get oxygen. I can't say I've seen too many defensive linemen that run 60 plus yards and not need oxygen. So we need to be careful because he might be Derrick Henry next, and that's just gonna be terrifying. We don't need that.
I have to look up and see who the fastest defensive linemen over 300 pounds are, because nobody was catching him. They were trying to. I mean, nobody could get to him. I mean, that guy took off. We were going to talk a little bit about this Jets and Bucks game. What a game between the Jets and the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield just, for me, I've talked about it the last couple of weeks. He just has this it factor to him. Buccaneers got out early in this game. They had a big old lead. I thought it was a game that was pretty much, over after the first half. But lo and behold, the Jets, they're a scrappy team, and they march all the way back into the game, eventually giving themselves a chance to win. And, Baker Mayfield takes over and does what he does best, which is just cook. And what did you guys see in that Jets and Bucks game? Devin, we'll start out with you.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of determination from both sides of the field. We'll get to the block kick from the Jets right away. I think it was, I can't remember his name. I just had it in my head and I can't remember it. Well, whoever the stud of a man is, jumped over the line, blocked a kick, returns it to the house, and the Bucks come right back down the field. They march down the field, and Mbuka makes two incredible catches. One got called incomplete, which I personally thought was a completed pass, but that's not here or there. Mbuka continues to show up in these big moments, and I think that's a great sign for the Buccaneers with Mike Evans halfway out the door. You got your next guy up with Mbuka, and you guys can continue for the next 5 years at least and compete very strong with those two. So overall, great game from both of the two teams. Obviously, the Bucks come out on top, and yeah.
Richard?
So when it comes to the Jets, because I mean they lost another one that they could have won, which is that's tough, I'm sure, for the Jets fans. But I mean, Tyrod Taylor actually, he didn't play too bad. He had one pick that he wants back under 200 yards, but he was still pretty effective with the ball, dumping it off. The biggest problem with the Jets right now is Breece Hall just did really nothing, and they didn't really hand the ball off too much, which I would think you'd kind of want to do with the Bucks, try to get the run game going just to open up your Garrett Wilson and your wide receiving core a little bit more, but they never really stuck to the run. Tyrod Taylor had more rushing yards than Breece Hall, and I will always say that is never something that you want. You never want your quarterback being your number one rusher, especially when it's your backup. And Tyrod Taylor is a decent backup quarterback. He'll be able to play well and get you in a position to where you can win. Even though the biggest play was the block field goal where they ran it back for a touchdown. But all in all, for the Jets, I know it's a rough start to the season, dropping they're 0-3 now, right?
They are,
if I remember correctly.
They're winless.
Yeah,
correct.
so you're going down the right path, and you already know what I think about the Bucks. I think they have one of the best duos in the run game, not outside of Detroit. So with Bucky and White, I think that's great. And then Baker Mayfield is he's just unflappable. You can't really pressure him enough to make him make mistakes at the end of the game. So the Bucks, they win that one as they should have. They look great in the first half of the game, kind of stalled out through most of the third quarter and most of the fourth quarter until the final drive, where Baker Mayfield obviously was able to drive down the field and get that field goal. So great win for the Bucks, as they always do. They can't have a 10-point win. It has to be within a field goal or within 6 points. But yeah, great win for the Bucks. And all in all, it was an enjoyable game, even though the third quarter was a bit of a back and forth of punting the ball constantly. But yeah, all in all, great win for the Bucks. Jets they're headed down the right road. They still got that we need a quarterback, and Bryce Hall needs to show up a little bit more. 9 carries for 21 yards. You need more between your quarterback, both of your running backs. You had 23 carries for 99 yards, and your quarterback had 48 of them. So not a great time when it comes to the run game. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
So 3 blocked field goals in the last couple of games we talked about. We talked about the Green Bay block, and then the block here from the Jets, and the Philadelphia block. So, and I believe there was more that maybe I didn't either have written down in my notes. I'm sure I thought there was maybe 4 that was missed, or there was another block somewhere along the way. But
6. There were 6 total
6
missed. So I'm gonna go back to, I think maybe this whole new ball thing might be something. Last year they had 15 misses. We're at 18. So it's kind of, I don't know. Something's just off with it when it comes to either kicking farther by a lot, but they're also getting blocked. They're also missing constantly a bit more than they have in the previous year, because last year was the most with 15, I think, in a couple of years, and now they have more than that. They're sitting, I think, at 18 between missed and blocked. So I don't know, something's just off with the game, with the kicking game, just in general.
Hopefully they'll get it fixed. I mean, I gotta push back and disagree on the field goals being blocked because of the balls. I feel like that's too. I want to separate the difference of them using the balls and then them getting blocked by defenders that are getting through the line, because it seemed like I don't know if them being able to use the balls gives an advantage or a disadvantage on blocking.
Yeah, but there's more than just the kickers that have to deal with the ball. You've got the long snapper, you also have the holder, and you have the kicker. So there's 3 things that can be affected with just a new ball that they may not be used to. I'm also a little conspiratorial with it, but yeah, something's weird with the kicking, just in general, in my view.
Got to talk a little bit about Caleb Williams and those Chicago Bears. They unfortunately beat Richard's Dallas Cowboys this weekend, and not only did Dallas take a loss and not look really good in the secondary, they lose CeeDee Lamb to an ankle injury. Hopefully Richard will be able to provide us some clarification on what that's looking like with him now. We'll go ahead and just start out with that. And Richard, what did you see in the Bears and the Cowboys game this weekend?
Nothing good on the Cowboys side. I mean, Dak was fine. I know he threw an interception off the hands of Pickett, which he has to catch that, and then a desperation throw off his back foot, which was, I always say, is a bad throw. You never want to make those throws off the back foot, but Dak makes them more than he misses them, so I get why he would throw it. But it was just overall, the offense was okay. It started off rough. You never want to go with your first possession and your running back gives the ball away. So, it started off rough, and right when you see that, you kind of know, okay, this may not go our way. Our secondary is terrible. Our safeties are non-existent. I know that Schottenheimer was saying that there was communication, but you have Diggs sitting there saying, well, no, It wasn't communication, it was execution. So they need to get that worked out. That is a huge problem. If you have no idea what the issue is, CD Lamb's talking like he's going to play next week, but he's got a high ankle sprain, so he's out for 4 to 6 weeks. Tyler Booker is also out for 4 to 6 weeks. He also has a high ankle sprain. Cooper Beebe, who's our center, he's out. Trayvon Diggs is now dealing with a shoulder injury. And we had a young CB on the practice squad called Childers, and he was looking pretty good. And he actually just got picked up off the practice squad. So our secondary is in absolute turmoil with no ability to play zone. When they played man, Diggs trips, and we get a long ball that we can't get back. So yeah, it just didn't look great for the Cowboys. I don't expect much in the way of passing. We can't stop the pass. It looks like the safeties are constantly lost. The corners don't know where they are. The linebackers don't know if they need it. They just look like they're just generally just lost all the time. It doesn't matter. They snap the ball and it's just like, oh, where'd he go? The run stop was still pretty decent, but it doesn't really much matter when all the party is behind you. So yeah, there was nothing good from the Cowboys front. And on Chicago's side, I would say that that's exactly what Caleb Williams needed as far as building a little bit of confidence and being able to spot the ball. He had a lot of beautiful throws, even though they were wide open. They looked good. He was able to move around. The run game it wasn't too bad. So all in all, great win for Chicago. Dallas just looks terrible. Their offense isn't going to be all that much great without CeeDee Lamb, without your center, and without your right tackle. So yeah, they're in a bit of a rough spot. So hey, give me top 5 pick next year, and then we'll go ahead and use one of those Green Bay Packers picks to get us a secondary, I guess.
Wow. Go ahead, Devin.
That's what you got him, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was just a.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think it was just a phenomenal passing debut from Caleb Williams. He definitely needed that pick-me-up game like Richard was saying. He's been struggling quite a bit. He averaged 10, 11 yards a pass on average. He had almost 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. The run game, like Richard said, was not there. 33 yards from Swift on 13 attempts. Holding the run game to about 2 yards a carry, which is ideally where you want to be. And then Luther Burden caught his first NFL touchdown on the flea flicker. Rome Odunze also got into the end zone. He's starting to look really good for the future of the Bears. That's 3 touchdowns in 2 games now. So he's looking really, really good for that offense. As far as the Cowboys, I see that Joe Milton came into the game, Richard. What's up with that?
Oh, that's easy. The football gods hate us. That's what I'm going to go with. Honestly, I think it's just because they realized there was no winning this game, and without Booker being there, without our center being in there, I think they just didn't want to hurt Dak. To be honest with you, so I think they just pulled him just to make sure he's protected. I mean, he is a $60 million quarterback for some ungodly reason, so got to protect that money.
Do you think that there's any world where Joe Milton takes over that QB1 spot this year?
No, not unless they're trying to protect Dak. I get everyone's excited because he's got a big, strong arm, but he is very inaccurate, and he was in there for a drive or two, and he threw an interception that was worse than Dak's. So I don't see in any world that he takes the spot from Dak while Dak is healthy. I just don't see it personally.
Any potential of a trade of Dak? I know that rumor has been swirling around for a long while, and now with CD out, I mean, you're looking at 4 to 6 weeks there. If you continue on a losing streak, or God knows what happens, do you think there's any possibility of any rebuilding of the Cowboys anytime soon?
This is their idea of rebuilding. I don't foresee them trading Dak. One, Dak has the no trade clause, so wherever he goes, the team would have to be a quarterback away from, they're a quarterback away from winning the Super Bowl. Not only that, you also have to look at the salary cap in which he has, because the Cowboys won't take all of it. So they're not going to be able to pawn everything off on the other team, but the other team would have to take a pretty good chunk of it. And I don't see a team doing that right now. Even though I love Dak, the one thing that you would be trading him for is to win a Super Bowl. And the biggest knock on Dak right now is he's just not he's not great in the playoffs. So I don't foresee a way that really would work. I don't see a team wanting to trade for him, and I don't see Jerry Jones trading him away. It's just not something I've ever seen Jerry Jones do, and I don't think we're going to see him do it personally.
Another thing I've seen on the stat sheet, Dak Prescott went 31 of 40, which is super efficient. He only missing 9 passes. But those 2 interceptions out of the 9 passes, just bad reads, bad passes. What are we looking at here?
The first interception was not a bad pass whatsoever. It was just straight off the hands of George Pickens. He was running what looked to be a curl route, and he starts headed towards to the sideline. Dak is already scrambling out, makes a beautiful throw, hits him right in the hands right here, and he just basically fumbled it to the corner that was along the sideline. So that was 100% on George Pickens. I'm an avid believer in interceptions off the hands of wide receivers, tight ends, and running backs need to go to that player. The second one was more of a back throw. I didn't see the linebacker, and he ended up kind of just throwing it to the outstretched arms of a linebacker. So I would say that's on Dak. And that was just a bad read, is how I would see that. So he had 2 interceptions this season that I would put on Dak, and 1 that I would put on a wide receiver, personally. Damn, that'll make me feel good. By the way, you're muted.
So, to be determined if Dallas gets it together. That CeeDee Lamb injury, I've seen reports of 3 to 4 weeks. I've seen the 4 to 6 weeks. I've seen him say that he feels like he could absolutely play this coming week. They didn't put him on IR, so I think Dallas's season is teetering on the brink of disaster, depending on what their secondary can get together. Because the secondary did not look good against Chicago, in my opinion. There's just way too many busted coverages, and it seemed like when in Rome, Roman Dunze did whatever he wanted to. And again, that CeeDee Lamb injury is a very big injury when you don't have a true wide receiving duo in Pickens and Lamb out there at the same time. It kind of takes away one of your biggest weapon. I think is CeeDee Lamb the biggest weapon in Dallas?
He's one of the biggest, yeah. No, on the offense, yeah, he's the biggest weapon we have. As long as he's got Dak, yeah, CeeDee Lamb will be the most dangerous person we have on the Cowboys.
We'll see if they can get it together in that division. Now trailing the Commanders and the Eagles, down 2 games of the Eagles, one of the Commanders early, and a big game coming up next week against the Green Bay Packers. Chargers and Broncos, dandy of a game. Another nail biter where Denver goes up late. Chargers come up with it. Justin Herbert gets the W. Devin, what did you see in that Chargers and Broncos game?
I've seen a devastating injury from the Chargers, that's for sure. Najee Harris is completely out of the year, torn Achilles for him. But outside of that, I think that the Chargers played pretty good. I'm about to look up the box score here for the Chargers, see how many passing yards Herbert finished out with. Looks like Herbert finished out with 300 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. So great game overall there. Obviously, we'd like to eliminate the interception. But again, 47 passing attempts from Justin Herbert. Just totally blows my mind how much they're passing the ball this year. Definitely did not think that, this would be the Chargers team that I'd be looking at. But Hampton finishes out with 70 yards on 19 carries. He's going to be the running back of the future. Averaging 4 yards a carry there is really great from him. Receiving, Johnston, who was a big question mark last year, is starting to come out into his own. 87 or 89 yards here against the Broncos. But yeah, I think that the Chargers came out on top, and I think that they deserve it. Bo Nix didn't really play particularly too well. Only 150 passing yards there, a touchdown, 14 for 25, just over that 50% completion rate. Run game was pretty good for J.K. Dobbins, not much else from anybody else. But yeah.
Richard, you got anything to add on for that game?
So I mean, it was a pretty decent back and forth, a lot of punting. Obviously not a high scoring one. The only thing I really saw that slightly concerns me is Bo Nix. I can think of about 3 to 4 passes that he just whiffed on, and his wide receivers were wide open, and he missed them long. I'm pretty sure I remember one being in the end zone where he completely missed a wide receiver as well. So that's a little concerning because you don't want to be in a divisional game like that and you're missing wide open, you're missing long. That's really the only thing I have. I mean, J.K. Dobbins had a pretty good game. So I like seeing him do well. I watched him a lot in Baltimore. Well, I tried to watch him a lot in Baltimore, but he was always hurt. So it's good to see him doing healthy, and he looked really, really good. So yeah, it was actually a fun game to watch. A lot of defense, even though there was only, I think, 7 sacks total between both of them. So it was a good game to watch. Defenses are solid. It did look like Herbert was catching a lot of heck from the Broncos defense. They were able to get pressure, but Herbert right now, he just looks really good, locked in, and really accurate. He only had a couple of throws, I would say, that he probably wants back because he missed wide open. But I'd say Bo Nix on that part of it, he just looked way worse. And I think his defense kind of kept him in that one a bit. But yeah, all in all, I'd say Justin Herbert is looking great right now. The Najee Harris one, unfortunately, I actually watched the tendon go on the back of his foot, so wish I didn't. That's not something you like seeing. But yeah, I think the Chargers are going to be a problem this year. All told, both teams look relatively decent. Knicks just needs to pick up a few things and they'll be fine.
Yeah, defense was stingy, and then watching Chargers be able to come down and seal that last second field goal to win the game, 29-28. Second week in a row that Denver has lost on a last second field goal. Last week, if you recall, they did the same thing in Indianapolis. 15-yard penalty, set up 45-yard field goal, and they ended up getting beat. This week, same story execution-wise with penalties, 90 yards and penalty yards. They were 2 of 13 on third down, only 2 of 13. And just 9 first downs here in that game. So Denver's offense definitely, Bo Nix is going to have to pick it up, I think. The offense is going to have to score a lot more points if they want to be. And it's not like they weren't competitive against the Chargers, which I think is a really good football team right now, especially early. They look good. But if you want to win those games in the NFL where most of the games are decided by one score, and of course, this week we had several blowouts, including my beloved Titans that just got absolutely annihilated by the Colts. But yeah, Bo Nix and Sean Payton are going to have to get some offense scripted up, and they're going to need to score some more points to allow that touted defense that's so good to really compete in that division.
So the one person I really like right now is Courtland Sutton. He's actually starting to show what everyone's been waiting for. He just hasn't really had the quarterback to do it. He had another good game. I think he had one touchdown. He had 118 yards. This season, he's actually looked really good and really stable. So it's good to see him have a good season up till now. So I'd like to see him continue to do that. And yeah, I think if Bo Nix just gets that fine tuning down, Sutton could have a great season this year. So he's been looking really good. So I wanted to add that in there.
A couple of those blowouts I was talking about with you. I was surprised. I just want to. I know we're probably not going to go into great length about the Falcons and the Panthers, but were either of you surprised that the Panthers went out and put a goose egg up on Atlanta and beat them 30-0, Devin?
I was definitely surprised. I definitely thought this was going to be a lot of closer of a game. And I was also surprised that Penix actually got sat at the end of the game, getting replaced there by Kirk Cousins, who he stole the job from last year. But yeah, Penix did not play good. 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. I mean, Bijan is Bijan. He did all he could. 72 yards for him. I mean, yeah, I mean, the Falcons just did not look good at all. I mean, even Bryce Young, he didn't really look anything too impressive. I mean, 120 yards passing from Bryce Young. I mean, really isn't anything too spectacular there from both offenses. It's, just some stuff that the Falcons really need to clean up and get squared away before the next week here.
Yeah, that was the biggest surprise from Reed. Do you have anything to add on to that, Richard?
Oh yeah, that game sucked. I have never been more bored watching a 30-0 game in my entire life. It sucked, and I hate the fact because I believe last week I said Atlanta is on the rise. That was my fault. It's like bread. It just built up from the yeast, and then they just blew it all together and just blew up the whole loaf. No, it was a boring game. It was an ugly game. So I mean, good on Carolina for taking the win. You still have a Bryce Young problem. You have an offensive line problem. Atlanta just has problems they can't figure out right now, except for the running back. So yeah, it was a terrible game. Sorry to Atlanta and the Panthers, but it sucked.
It's a big win for Carolina because they weren't looking too good early, and then they go out and get a win against what we thought was a pretty good Atlanta team. That's why it's so hard early to judge these teams, but you get a good feel. I feel like we've got a good feel at this point of the teams and what we're looking at. You're starting to get some tendencies and start to figure out teams a little bit more about what they're about and what they're bringing to the table. But I didn't see that from Carolina. That was, obviously the biggest surprise of the week for me is not only going out and winning the game, but doing it in the way that they did it was just incredible.
I think it's the only game we all got wrong. I think we all picked Atlanta last week, and we all got right. We all missed on that one.
I have to go back and see if that was one of the games that we picked, but it probably was. Yeah, I will be a little more hesitant on just picking over Carolina in the future because that one hurt. Let's go to the Lions and Ravens. Monday Night Football. Big game out there on Monday night. Two powerhouse teams between the Ravens and the Lions. And what a game it was. Richard, you and I and a couple of other friends were watching that game together, and explosive. Lots of points. Jared Goff gets it done. Jahmyr Gibbs scores a touchdown. Amon St. Brown scores a touchdown. Derrick Henry scores a touchdown, but he has a fumble, I believe, for the third. I believe it's the third game in a row. Is that the third game in a row? He's had one each week this season. So,
yes.
What did you see out of the Lions, and what did you see out of the Ravens, and what's going on with Derrick Henry? Richard?
No, Devin, you can go first.
All right, yeah. So from the Lions aspect, we've seen week 1 where they scored 13 points against the Packers. And then week 2, they come right back, score 52 on the heads of the Bears. And now they come out with a Super Bowl contender in the Ravens, and they put up 38 and top the Ravens. I mean, I think this is very impressive, especially when you're changing all your coordinators. You're freshly off of coordinator changes. I mean, Jared Goff looked really good. I mean, he only had one passing touchdown, but that's really all you need Jared Goff to do is, complete the majority of your passes, maybe score a touchdown here, a touchdown there. Like I said with Jordan Love, Jared Goff is a guy that's not going to win you games. He's a guy you can win with, but he's not going to go out there and win you the game. And, the Lions heavily depend on their running back group. Montgomery had a long rush for 72 yards, I think it was. He got in the end zone twice, only on 12 carries. Obviously, that average is a little skewed with that 72-yard run, but even Jahmyr Gibbs, 22 rushes, 67 yards. He averages 3 yards, I think that is, 3 yards a carry on that. He got in the end zone twice. So, I mean, if you just depend on your run game, and you stay in that one-dimensional way, obviously teams are going to plan for that, right? So you got to be a little versatile. So the Lions do have to figure it out in the pass game a little bit coming up in the future, just because you can't just rely on Gibbs and Montgomery just to win you every football game ever. Obviously, it works early just because teams are still trying to figure it out. Obviously, the Ravens are not one of those teams. The Ravens do have it figured out. They should, be competing, and they did compete in this game, but the Lions just toppled over the Ravens in this one and snuck out a win against a very good team here.
Go ahead, Richard.
Stream went down. Yeah, our stream's down, by the way.
Okay. Stream suspended for policy violations.
Yeah. God damn it. All right.
That's going to be for the videos.
Yep. We have to do okay. So we'll have to what we'll have to do with if we show the videos, we can't, we'll have to break them up individually. We can't run them back to back like that, I guess.
Yeah, that sucks.